Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. As we all know, we are special creature because of three-dimensional structures with three-dimensional senses. Although in living beings, animals are also present on this planet, which have three-dimensional structures with two-dimensional senses. Similarly, plants are examples of three-dimensional structures with one-dimensional sense. Now we are looking for the fourth dimension. What is the fourth dimension? What is the fifth dimension? Can we find out any structural communication with these higher dimensional planes? We can try to do all this with the help of human mind. How does it work? Let's continue our previous discussion on human mind. We explained in the first part the portion of human mind corresponding with the midbrain. It has two divisions, thinking mind and emotional mind. These are the conscious parts and they have their subconscious counterparts as well. They are positioned in such a way that conscious thinking mind and the subconscious emotional mind are on one side. Conscious emotional mind and subconscious thinking mind are on the other side. Now we will show how the intelligence spectrum is located in the human mind. Human mind has two divisions and every division has two domains, values and principles, which are facing opposite directions. In the domain of values, the intelligence spectrum increases in such a way that when any level moves to the above level, the length and the height both get double. While in the domain of principles, the intelligence spectrum increases in such a way that when any level moves to the above level, the length lefts half and the height gets double. The minimum range of the intelligence spectrum lies between plus 56 to minus 111. Here we can explain the negative intelligence and the positive intelligence. As we can see that in the domain of principles, when the graph moves towards the lower side, we find very thin straight lines in the horizontal direction which are showing the negative intelligence. On the other side, when the graph moves towards the higher side, we also find very thin straight lines in the vertical direction which show positive intelligence. Now we are showing the four ways of learning and three modes of action in the human mind only in one domain. The same processes are happening in the other domains as well. As we can see that it is not possible to show the real spectrum in detail, so a hypothetical spectrum is drawn to explain these ways and modes. We have told in the last part there are four ways of learning: by heart, by spirit, by dot, and by dimension. These are the four ways of learning in human mind which are used to understand any object from its physical appearance up to its use, formation, and even chemical composition. These four ways of learning are present in every domain and work independently. When we need to understand any object by heart, we go 3 down in our intelligence spectrum and get information about the use of that object. When we need to understand any object by spirit, we go 12 down in our intelligence spectrum and get information about the formation or production of that object. When we need to understand any object by dot, we go 26 down in our intelligence spectrum and get information about the chemical composition or the creation of that object. To make things easy to understand before explaining the learning by dimension, we will see how the three modes of action affect our intelligence. There are three modes of action in human mind: instinctive, logical, and intellectual. Instinctive actions show the need of past, while logical actions showing the need of present, and intellectual actions show the need of future. Here we can see that in the process of learning by heart, when we act in instinctive way, our intelligence level reduces to 3 down, while when we act logically, the intelligence level remains the same. And when we act intellectually, the intelligence level increases to 3 up position. Same situation is prevailing in the process of learning by spirit. When we act instinctively, our intelligence level moves 12 down, while in logical actions, the intelligence level remains unchanged, and in intellectual actions, the intelligence level moves to 12 up. Similarly, in the process of learning by dot, in instinctive actions, the intelligence level moves to 26 down, while acting logically, it remains the same, and in intellectual actions, it increases to 26 steps up. Well, when we need to understand any object by dimension, we talk about its physical appearance and structure. If it is a mass, then we say it is a 3-dimensional structure. If it is a magnetic field, then we say it's a 2-dimensional structure. And if it is light, then it is 1-dimensional structure. Space, we say it's a 4th-dimensional plane. To have a clear concept of 4th and the 5th dimension, and to keep things simple, we start from the 1st dimension. As a structure, it is something which has only length without any height and width, and we can experience it in the form of light. Geometrically, it has an angular value of 180 degrees. We show in the form of a supposed straight line which has no height and no width. The 2nd dimension. As a structure, it is something which has length and height but no width. We can experience it in the form of windstorms, which are actually magnetic fields. Geometrically, it has an angular value of 360 degrees. We can easily draw it on paper. The 3rd dimension. As a structure, it is something which has length, height, and width as well. We can experience it in the form of any mass. Geometrically, it has an angular value of 2 into 360 degrees. We can draw it on paper, but there are some limitations. Now we try to find out any mathematical rhythm of conversion from 1D into 2D and 2D into 3D. We see when 1D converts into 2D, there are 4 1Ds and the angular value gets double. When 2D converts into 3D, there are 6 2Ds and the angular value gets double. Here we can see one rhythm, that is, on every conversion the angular value gets double. Now we can find out another rhythm with the help of this equation. Y is equal to x plus 1 into 2. Here y is showing the desired dimension and x is showing the dimension to be converted. Now putting the value of x and y, 1 2D is equal to 1 plus 1 into 2. So 1 2D is equal to 4 1Ds. Now we apply this equation on next conversion, 2D into 3D. Y is equal to x plus 1 into 2. Now putting the values of x and y, 1 3D is equal to 2 plus 1 into 2. So 1 3D is equal to 6 2Ds. According to this research, it is important to mention that our Earth takes 2 360-degree rotations on its axis perpendicular to each other at the same time with the same duration of almost 24 hours. The 4th dimension. As a structure, it is more complex. It has length, height, width, and a squeezing phenomena as well. Now we apply these rhythms to calculate the 4th dimension. Y is equal to x plus 1 into 2. Now putting the values of x and y, 1 4D is equal to 3 plus 1 into 2. Now we can say that one 4D is equal to 8 3Ds. And the angular value of 4D is 4 into 360 degrees. Before showing the geometry of fourth dimension, we can write our equation in a little different format. So we can write our equation as 1 4D is equal to 6 3Ds plus 12 2Ds. Now we can see that in 1 4D there are 6 3Ds which are present in such a way that 6 two-dimensional magnetic bands hold these 6 3Ds side to side and maintain one 360 degree rotation. These 2Ds pass through water. The remaining 6 2Ds divide in 3 sets with 2 each and hold opposite 3Ds from top to bottom. This is how the rest 3 360 degree rotations are maintained. These 2Ds pass through air and space. These 2Ds create a central true space area, the fourth dimensional plane which collects light. In a 4D, the 2Ds which hold 6 3Ds from side to side and pass through water create black holes. A black hole is a 2D hole with two faces, entry and exit. A black hole works as a no-return valve. The 2Ds which hold opposite 3Ds where cross each other in space also create black holes. The size of a black hole is equal to the size of a hole created by putting 48 atoms in a circle. How big the face of a black hole will be depends upon the size of that 2D. According to this research, Moon is a fourth dimensional plane. Our Earth takes two 360 degree rotations around the Moon, one with respect to the opposite 3D which takes 57 to 60 days, and the other with respect to the 3Ds on sides which takes 7 days. The fifth dimension. Well, as a structure it is little more complex than fourth dimension. It is something which has length, height and width but no squeezing phenomena. It has an opposite ability which is called as expansion phenomena. Now we apply our equation to calculate the fifth dimension. Y is equal to x plus 1 into 2. Now putting the values of x and y, 1 5D is equal to 4 plus 1 into 2. Now we can say that 1 5D is equal to 10 4Ds, while the angular value of 5D is 8 into 360 degrees. Here we change the format of our equation, which itself is becoming a rhythm now. So we can write our equation as 1 5D is equal to 8 4Ds plus 16 3Ds. Here we can see that in 1 5D there are 8 4Ds present in such a way that 2 3Ds hold 1 4D with 3-dimensional gravitational bands from both sides, top to bottom, and make 8 rings. These 8 rings divide in 2 sets with 4 each, placed one on other. These rings on rotation create a central pillar of invisible gravitational mass, which is hot like sun due to shear friction produced by the movement of these 3-dimensional gravitational bands on each other. According to this research, Sun is a 5th dimensional plane. Our Earth does not take any isolated rotation around the Sun. It rotates around the Sun as a part of 4th dimension and completes one rotation in almost 365 days and 6 hours. Now this is the time when ignorance is not an excuse. In the start we discussed one-dimensional sense in plants, which means they only strive for reproduction and show instinctive behaviors. Animals have two-dimensional senses, that means they strive for reproduction and food, show logical behaviors. We are special because of our three-dimensional senses. Two senses we share with animals, and the only sense which makes us better than animals is the search of knowledge. Human is a special creature because that strives for knowledge and shows intellectual behavior. Knowing something is information. When we interpret it apply it, and make it a part of our personality, it becomes knowledge. A true knowledge can definitely produce thousands of useful informations, but it is not necessary that thousands of true informations may be able to produce even a single useful knowledge.